because everybody has their story. Like where you're at today is a proportionate of where you come from and all the stuff that you prepared yourself. So the chapter before where you're at today is the reason you're here. And a lot of people be like, wow, this guy's a millionaire, but you have no idea how many struggles and how many failures and how many times I fell on my face prior to getting to this point.
What's going on, guys? Arne Giske here with another episode of the Community and Conversions Show. Today, we got an awesome guest who is a buddy of mine from another mastermind. We hang out pretty often out in Dallas, and he's got a killer story. Even since just meeting him, he started this new business that he has brought up to 7 figures in less than a year. And as we all know, there's a million different challenges that happen as you do that. So today we're going to get to talk about that and dive in and see what really went down and how you guys, the listeners, can pick up some of these mindsets, these habits, these strategies to help you keep scaling too. So Jose, I'm super excited to have you on today, man.
Dude, thank you so much. First of all, I appreciate it. I'm grateful and I'm honored to be here. I know that you have quite a bit of people that would get some value for some of the information that I want to share with them. And my goal today is to just drop some freaking value that's for free. I don't want to charge anybody nothing. I have nothing to sell. The only thing is I just want to give back because I'm a giver. I'm not a taker. So I'm super excited to be here, man. Thank you.
Love it, man. Yeah. And you know, I mean that, like, since meeting you, I think you started that business after I met you. And then, like, you know, within the next few meetings, you're like, oh, hey, we hit the 100K mark. Oh, hey, we're doing this. Oh, hey, we're doing this. It's like, holy crap, yeah. These guys are on a roll, you know? And that's the type of momentum that most people really struggle to get. They'll usually kind of get up to like some kind of a point where they you know, hit a comfort level or hit some kind of a growth ceiling that they can't bust past. But you're like, nope, we're just going to go ahead and jump straight over to 7 figures. So you want to give us a little bit of background on you know, some of the businesses that you've been running before this, some of your story, and you know, eventually how that turned into growing this company.
Yeah, no, of course, man. So to give you guys a background of who I am and versus where I'm at right now, because everybody has their story. Like where you're at today is a proportionate of where you come from and all the stuff that you prepared yourself. So the chapter before where you're at today is the reason you're here. And a lot of people be like, wow, this guy's a millionaire, but you have no idea how many struggles and how many failures and how many times I fell on my face prior to getting to this point. So I want to share with you guys what that looked like for me. So I don't want to go too back on the story. I come from a very aggressive industry, which is car sales. I was never a business owner. I tried different businesses. I was literally just selling cars. I went into the industry because I was unemployed, and that was the first people that hired me, right? And so I literally went to the dealership. I applied. They hired me on the spot, and I started working, and I had no idea doing. Like I literally just was a rookie that wanted to go in there, and I was motivated and had the work ethic. And before you know it, they start offering me training, they start teaching me, and I made all the mistakes you could possibly think about. I lost that dealership hundreds of thousands of dollars my first year because I scared people away. I was too pushy. I didn't know what I was doing. And so I really got obsessed with one thing. I got obsessed with the ability of how people make decisions. And my obsession led me to way more things that I'll talk about here shortly. But I started really diving into, like, if I'm going to do this for a living, I got to be the best in the fucking world. Like I got so serious to the point that I said, I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to smoke. I'm not going to do weekends. I'm cutting out any distractions in my life, and I'm going to focus and I'm going to nail this thing down. So I got into Grant Cardone like heavy. And when I say I got into Grant Cardone, I mean like his material of sales was the only thing that I listened to for years, man. The books, I read every book that he's wrote. I've listened to every podcast. I've gone through Cardone University twice. And like I got serious. You know, every Friday when all of my friends were inviting me out to drink, it was 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I'm eating dinner in my office or my desk that I had at the time. And I am studying. 10, 11 o'clock came. I'm getting tired. I go to bed. When I wake up in the morning, that's the only thing that I did. So for a very long period of time, I would say about 4 years, all I did was study sales and how people make decisions. So I got to a point that I could predict people's behavior. And then at that point, Arne, is when I became dangerous.
Yep.
when I knew that if I said this, you would say something in return, and I already knew what you would answer, bro, when you can predict what people are going to say before you even say it, it's a point where you're like, shit, dude, I just unlocked another door. Right. And so I got to that point in my career in sales, and I was in the top 10% of salespeople in the country for General Motors. I was just pumping cars. You know, my boss loved me because I was making him millions. But I didn't realize it at the time. I just was caring about for a paycheck and kind of like a lifestyle that gave me a good life. And I was making, 6 figures plus and whatever. And I never realized that there was more to it, because I was basically recycled to a 9-to-5 that kept me at a 6 figures plus income. It made me comfortable. Okay. So check this out. This is where the story is going to get interesting, and I'm going to pivot to something else. I've always wanted to do something bigger, but I didn't know what. I tried starting a cleaning company. Everything had to be entry level because I didn't really have skills. I tried to start a cleaning company, and nobody wanted to hire me. I never cleaned anything, dude. How could they? Right? I tried to start a food truck. Well, dude, I didn't really know how to cook that great. So it was like I tried all these things, but nothing ever worked. And I was like, man, starting a business is like the next impossible thing that you have to like go to school for. Well, I really didn't know. I only thought the only people who were successful, the ones that go to college. I think that was something that was ingrained in my head. My grandmother said, if you want to make something out of yourself, you got to go to college. Well, that's not true, guys. No. Because it's so important what I'm about to share with you. If you want to make money, if you're struggling in your finances, if you're struggling in the area of your life, all you got to do is sit down, really, really think to yourself, what is it that I want to outcome that I want? Write it down, make a plan, and take massive action. Just execute every single day, even if it's not a lot. Take actions and steps that are going to get you closer to what you want, and you're going to get it. It might take you weeks, months, and years, but the moment that you can step into the life that you want to live is the moment that you're like, oh my God, I've been thinking about this forever. Until the point that you get there, you'll be grateful you started sooner. So just to go back to what I was sharing with you guys, I was really good at sales because I studied. A lot of people say, dude, you're a natural salesman. No, dude, I was terrible. Never bought anything from me if you met me my first year in sales. So I studied so hard, Arne, that I'll tell you right here, I got obsessed, bro. Like if you said you got to think about it, dude, I had to respond. The price is too high. The payment's too high. I got to talk, dude, I know every rebuttal in the book.
Yep.
Right. And I kept on always educating myself. I would go to the Tony Robbins seminars. I would go to the Grant Cardone seminars. Anytime that there was something educational, I wanted to be part of it. And the other cars that used to work with me, they used to say, dude, you're the reason those guys get rich. And they always kind of like put me in a put me down, because they're like, dude, you're giving these guys way too much of your money. And they always kind of, how many times have somebody told you, like, they always want to count your money for you or tell you where to spend it, but they're broke. You know, so yep. Be careful where you get advice from. So I never really allowed those people to influence me, because I know that they weren't going where I was. And so the point that I'm making here is in 2020, Grant Cardone had a seminar in Vegas. It was the 10X Growth Conference. I don't know if many of you know of it, but I went to it.
I was there.
You were there, see?
Yep.
Come on, like-minded people. And that was right before COVID. So I flew from Alaska, because I'm living in Alaska this time. And I flew into Vegas, and there was a gentleman that had been following me on social media. This is where the story is going to get good. This gentleman had been following me on social media and recruited and wanted to recruit me relentlessly for 2 years, but I never wanted to work with him. I didn't see anything there. Well, we get there and he sees me. He's all excited because he's seen me on social media. And the weird thing about social media is when people see you, they think that they know you. Right? And so, you know, he's shaking my hand and we're talking and whatever. And at this time, I knew who he was, but I didn't know much about him. So he's like, hey, man, we're going to go to dinner tonight at the Bellagio. Why don't you join me? Well, long story short, we started drinking when we get to the Bellagio that night. And I don't know about you guys, but you give me some tequila and I am so freaking down to do whatever. It's like courage. I am like so much more down for anything. I'm much more go with the flow. So he pitched me on working for him, dude, and I was more open to the idea. And I had to relocate from Alaska to Texas, and we'd agreed that he'd pay me a multiple 6-figure income, which is $200,000 a year, plus relocating expenses, plus commissions if I could take them from. I think they were doing like $3 million to $10 million in a 24-month period, And dude, I was making the dealership millions at this time. You know, I'm like, dude, that is easy to do this every day for fun.
Uh-huh.
So pay me more money than I'm making, and you're gonna like pay me to get out of where I'm at because I'm already tired of the cold. I'm down. Let's roll. Well, guys, COVID happens. Okay, so this is what's going on. I'm still February, towards the end of February, I go back to Alaska. I quit my job. I end up flying down to Dallas 7 days later. I didn't think about it. Once I make a decision and I'm committed to something, I don't second guess myself. I think that's one of the things that's gotten me further in life. I don't second guess myself very much, Arne. I don't know if you do that, but once I know I want something and I like, my heart tells me let's do it, there's no looking back.
Yep.
So I was ballsy enough to go to the dealership that I was doing great at and just quit, like on the spot, dude. Like, hey guys, I gotta go. I'm leaving. Everybody was pissed, dude. I mean, they didn't like that. You know,
I'm sure.
the income just left, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so I moved down to Texas, and 2 weeks into the job, dude, COVID happens and he shuts his doors down. Didn't open them. So he let me go. And I'm stuck in a new city that I don't know anyone. I'm terrified because I just lost whatever I thought security I had, and I got to start from scratch. And I'm like scratching my head like, bro, I don't know where to go from here. So this is where life happens, okay? And I learned this by educating myself and getting around people that think bigger, because it's not what happens to you in life that matters. It's what you do with what happens that's going to determine your outcome. And most people, something bad happens to you and you're like, oh my God, I'm a victim. You know, and that's not the mentality you should have if you want to win in life. So this was the pivot point for me, man. This is really where it all started. I had an idea to run ads, like literally just run Facebook ads for businesses, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I went from a client that I charged $300. It was a mattress company out of Fort Worth, Texas. I charged him $300 one time, and I was running his ads. I was doing terrible, by the way. I didn't know what I was doing. I got blocked from Facebook. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
You guys ever run any ads? Anyway, I got hit with an ad on my newsfeed one day. Said, I'll teach you how to start your first $1 million business and teach you how to run ads. Obviously, the ad copy was much better than what I just worded.
Yeah.
And I signed up for a call. So some sales guy called me and he pitched me a $10,000 program, and I was terrified. I had a little an SNEG, some money saved up, right? But not enough, dude. Like, no matter if you got 100,000 or 200,000, if you have no new income, it'll run out. And so I was terrified, bro, because I didn't have no new income, and I was going to be a chunk of change that I was going to put out. And I did it. I was like, bro, sign me up. It sounds good to me.
Yep.
But I was terrified, dude. Like, I just spent $10,000. I ain't got no job. I ain't got no money coming in. Like, this could turn bad if it doesn't work out. But like I said, guys, once I commit to something, like, I don't really second guess myself. So I ended up signing for this program. It's called Seven Figure Agency. They just renamed it and rebranded to Agency Labs. It's ran by Joe Kaplan. Great guy, by the way. I get in the program and they're teaching me what the program is basically like, is not to promote the program, but I just want you guys to understand what I learned. It's like a college for entrepreneurs that want to start a business on the internet. It's like a college that teaches you like a trade, kind of like a trade school. They teach you step 1 to Z. That's what they do in there. Nice. And, it's pretty freaking awesome because they got professors that actually like spend time with you on a daily basis and go through classes. And so I started the program. It's a 4-month program, and I finished it. And after the four months, dude, I'm like negative $28,000 in a hole. And wow. I have shit. And I'm struggling, bro. And I'm like, dude, this is terrible. Like, I don't know why I did this. I'm a fail. So nothing was working. And this is where we talk about momentum. Like, you just got to show up every single day, even if nothing is working, because you have to know that at the end of the day, it will eventually all make sense in the future. And every day, man, I would wake up and I would try to sell my service to people. And they're like, dude, this doesn't sound like legit. We don't believe you. It's too expensive. And they would tell me things that I didn't know how to overcome. At this time, I didn't have a business. I just had an idea, right? And I was trying to put it to people and nobody wanted to buy it. And so I'm at my last freaking like $1,000, Arne. And it's starting to be the end of the month where I have to pay rent. I don't have any more food in the fridge. I'm down to like tuna and ramen noodles. And I'm like, dude, things are not looking good for me. If I don't make a sale soon, I got to put this idea away and I got to pack it up and go get a job. And during COVID, everybody was getting laid off.
Yep.
So that opportunity wasn't there, man. And so I am starting to doubt myself. I'm starting to listen to that doubtful voice that we all have. And that voice is telling me, you should have listened to your friends. You should have listened to this. You shouldn't have did this. And as much as I wanted to shut it off, it just kept on going louder and louder. And every day, dude, I wake up with more doubt. Oh man, it was really tough, bro. Because I that's the point where you decide, do I go all the way in till I freaking like sink inside of the hole, or do I walk away before I bury myself? And I'm one of those guys that I'm gonna go all in, dude. If I have to like walk in a hole and just like go all the way in, that's what I'm gonna do. But know that I didn't quit, that it failed, but not because of effort, not because I didn't put the amount of energy and time necessary. And it's like day 29 of the month, and rent is due on the first. And I'm telling you, dude, I was down on money. And so that day, I was blessed to have a few appointments on the calendar. I called them, I pitched them, dude. I made 20 grand in profit that day.
Wow.
That right there, my friend, was the point where I got enough confidence, because every time you win, you get a little boost of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
That was the moment right there where I was able to get the confidence that I needed to keep going and the money that I needed to keep everything alive. I had a few deals. 2 of them paid me 6 months in advance, which I was like, dude, I didn't even know I could do. Yeah. And so, dude, I was so blessed. I was so thankful. I was cheering, like I'm like fucking excited. I'm a champion. I'm alive again. It was back to who I actually am, rather than doubt kicking in. Because we all, at some point in our journey, if you're going through greatness, if you're going to chase something big, it's going to beat you up at the beginning, man. You're going to get punched in the face every day. Because what it is, it's a test. It's going to test you. It's going to see, hey, do you really want it? How bad do you want it? And most people want it bad enough to the point that they wake up every morning, get punched in the face. And this is just an I wasn't getting physically beat up, but mentally, like I was failing. So every day I wake up to fail. And I still do it the next day and the next day and the next day. Dude, I lost hair. I lost weight. Like it wasn't healthy anymore. But when I made that sale to the point where I had that great day where I made 20 grand in one day, to me, 20 grand in one day, that was a shitload of money when you're broke. Today, I make 21 grand in a day, and it's like, all right, let's keep going. But that day, bro, was so exciting for me. And so as the story goes on, I started getting people involved that were smarter, just further and smarter than me. And that's when my business partner, Brandon, if any of you guys know Brandon Spears, that was the pivot in my business, where I offered him a partnership inside of our company. I said, hey, Brandon, listen, I got a few clients. We're doing like 33K a month on recurring revenue. And I don't know what to do with them, dude. I don't know how to run the ads. If I signed them up, I promised them this, and I don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, okay. I said, I'd be willing to offer you 40% of the company with a gentleman's handshake, meaning that it's not official. We'll give it a 90-day trial. And if it works out, I'd be happy to bring you on board as my partner. But if it doesn't, hey, hard feelings, and we part ways. He's like, that sounds like a pretty fair idea, man. And so he took, by the way, Brandon to me is a genius marketer. He's a very well-rounded marketer in different areas, not just ads, ad copy and strategies. And so he came on, dude, and started restructuring the company. Like he's like, you got SOPs? I'm like, what does that stand for? Didn't even know what an SOP was, man. I'm behind. So he started putting everything in place, and he started building a foundation, because every company needs a foundation, right? You can't build the second floor if your first floor is the foundation is built out of sand other than concrete. You can't do that. It'll fall apart. Mm-hmm. And so he started like really coming in here and like building it and putting it together, and started hiring and started like putting every single piece of the puzzle in place for us to really scale. And like 3 months later, dude, I haven't paid him anything. Like he's been working 7 days a week, like 16, 15 hours a day, and he ain't got nothing from me, bro. Just pure sweat equity. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't have any money, by the way. I went out and spent the money. So the money I had, I was spending it, dude. I was like, man, I gotta get some money, and I gotta go do what makes me happy. And dude, I wasn't paying him for 3 months. He didn't get compensated. So he's like, hey, bro, when are you gonna send me a check? And I'm like, fuck, bro, I ain't got no money, man. So we're on the end of the 90-day trial, and he's done a great job. Now it's to me, and I'm failing, and I hate failing, guys. So I went out and started selling to the point where it was like, okay, we got money coming in. I'm able to pay him a paycheck. And check this out. Brandon didn't become my official partner on paper until like almost like month 6 or 7. Although I agreed to do it on month 3 because things got in the way. Like, Arne, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, man, but no matter what you plan today and how good your plan is, I promise you something come in and just smack you right in the face that won't allow you to do what you plan.
Always, yep.
That's life, dude. And so you got to prepare for that. And glad Brandon wasn't broke. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked out. But long story short, guys, once Brandon and I really like build a structure, on month 10, we hit 7 figures. Like, nice. Dude, it was like, I go sell, you go fulfill. If I bring a client, you figure out what to do with it and leave me out of it. And so because I come from that industry in sales, I knew exactly what to do, what to say, how to project my message, how to talk to a customer, how to approach people, and I was so likable to them. Dude, I was able to take this thing and just freaking turn the engine. And not just an engine, dude, like supercharged freaking V8 Corvette, like ready to run at 100 miles an hour and not stop. Yep. Yeah, dude. So we took it to another level, and that's kind of when you and I started meeting each other, man. We were like kind of halfway there at the executive mastermind. So this is by the way, for those of you guys that know, Ryan Stuman, he leads that mastermind. Cost about 30 to 40 grand a year to be part of it. So you have to make some money. You can't be broke and be part of those masterminds. So that started joining, and that's when I met Arne. And dude, it took that mastermind took us to another level.
Yep.
There was a point where inside of that mastermind, they put us on the panel. I don't know if you were there for that. After we left there, bro, because of what we spoke, so many people signed up with us, and we made like 25 grand that hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never
that about covers your year, right?
Yes. And it was next level, bro, because we were like, okay, we have all these people who want to do business with us, but they're in so many different niches. One of the things that we've done very well is we specialize in one niche, and we got really, really good at one thing. Most people that I see that start anything online, they'll cater to the fitness industry, and then they'll turn around and they'll get a request to cater into the plumber. And they're like, okay, we'll do it for you too, just because you're the only one that really wants to work with us.
Yeah.
This, guys, the more you take clients outside of what you really want to focus on, the less you're going to move the ball forward.
Yep.
It's like you're setting yourself back.
It's funny you say that, because one of my other buddies, you might know him, Nick Robbins. He's also in the agency space. He's a killer. He's a great guy. Multi 7-figure agency. And we had him on the podcast a while back. I think we probably had him on 2 or 3 times now. And yeah, same thing with him sharing his story about that. Like, really bounced around, fail, ramen noodles, take some programs, take some risks. And niching was really the key for him and his agency too, to boost them to that next level. So I know a lot of people out there, they're like, well, I don't really want a niche. I can do this, and that. Like, what would you tell the people out there that don't want a niche?
If you don't want a niche, you're going to be a freelancer. Figure out, do you want to be a freelancer that does projects, or do you want to own a company that makes real money? You have to decide that. And that's the question you got to ask yourself. Do I just want to be somebody that does a project, or do I want to have a stable business that has recurring revenue coming in every month? That's a question that your listeners are going to have to ask themselves. And let me share something. This is a little secret that I've learned over the years. No secret, man. There's no secrets in life. It's just knowledge that's passed down. Here's a little hack that I learned about picking a niche. If you are confused about how to pick a niche, because most people get lost here. Oh, well, I want to niche down, but I don't know how to. Here it is. There's 3 things you got to know. First thing is you got to pick, and this is how we did it. During COVID and all that stuff, all the business was getting shut down. My advice to you is pick a business that is essential. So when COVID hits again or something, and by the way, COVID will be here for the next 10 years, guys. It's not going away. We'll get a business that's essential, meaning that if something happened, they're still going to be in business. Number 2, make sure that there's at least 30,000 businesses in the US that you can cater to. And number 3, make sure that they have a service that they charge at least $500 or more. So when you ask them for $1,000, they're not going to tell you it's too much money.
Yep.
Most people want to go to a restaurant that charges $10 and advertise and charge $1,500. Well, dude, for them to even break even, you have to bring them like 100 clients. And that's, be honest with you, that ain't even doable. So make sure that there's profit margins juicy enough. So when you say, hey, I'm going to charge this guy $5 grand, but his profit margins are so big that they can justify your cost. That's how you pick a niche.
Yep.
With that in mind, guys, being niche down allows you to become a specialist. And when you become a specialist, when somebody thinks about Facebook groups, they think of Arne. When somebody thinks about air conditioning marketing, they think of me. It's because you niche down, and then you become a specialist and a professional in that special area. And now you can start getting referrals and things like that. Otherwise, man, somebody thinks about marketing, I promise they're not thinking about you, because no one knows that you do that.
Yep.
So that would be my advice to the audience, if someone could get some knowledge on that end.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you said there, actually wrote it down. That's going to be a quote card for later or something, was if you don't want a niche, you'll be a freelancer. And that's really the truth of it. And there's a lot of people that are, just, hey, I'm self-employed. I want to make a cool, 3, 5, 10 grand a month, get some projects, help some people. But if you truly want to scale, have a team, have a company, that ain't going to slide, So you got to really pick, all right, do I want to just, get by, make a living, or scale that thing up? So what were some of the other challenges you guys ran into while scaling? Because, a company at the, even 0 to 20 level, 20 to 50 level, 50 to 100 plus level is a very, very different. So how did you guys manage that growth?
Yeah, that's such a good question, man. So there are levels, right? Just like you talked about. When we went from 0 to 50 or 0 to 70, whatever the case was, every time we went into a different bracket of profit or margin, we uncovered more problems. Every time you go from 1 to 10 or 10 to 20, there's a new problem ahead of you. Yeah, you might call that money, but in reality, it's a new challenge that you have to overcome for you to be able to get to the next place. It's a new skill set you have to learn. And it was all about self-development for the most part, Arne. There's a lot of things that I can mention to you that really wanted me not to push forward. One of the things that we did is we broke our system for advertisement many times. Like, for example, let's say that this week I brought 30 clients in 1 week. Well, I just saturated our fulfillment pipe. So let's say that you have a pipe that's this big, and now you overloaded it with more than it can pass through here. So now it's saturated, and now the weight that is costing to get through there, it pretty much just shuts it off. So I had to build more of a bigger team. And so what I did, I told Brandon one day, I said, guy, we have to get together and we have to put our minds in a place where we're going to scale this thing to 300,000 a month in profit. So we have to build a bigger team. So we started hiring. That's where the biggest problems came.
People.
When we started hiring, and we had no idea how to hire, by the way, guys. We were just, somebody applied and they looked good on the interview. I was like, come on in.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you right now, that cost me every time I hired somebody without having them really align with who we are and the vision that we had. And it was just because we wanted them to help us with the workload. It cost me thousands of dollars down the road because of the mistakes, the errors, the way that they represented the company. And it literally, instead of helping us, it sets us back. So when the setback that we had was hiring, not knowing how to hire, hiring the wrong people, and also spending too much money, not knowing our numbers, like not tracking our KPIs. For those of you guys that know what that means, is your key performance indicators that are going to be able to dictate how much money do you spend every time you acquire a client. Like, all that stuff is so essential, and most businesses don't even know about it.
Yep.
So I think those were the biggest setbacks. Like, yeah, this month we spent $3,000 on marketing, but we didn't close any deals. Like things in that nature. Like, yeah, we're spending money on marketing, but we're not bringing in clients, or we're underspending, and we're like, our acquisition costs were as low as $200 at 1 month. We should have spent like $50,000 that month, right?
Yep.
So, like, being able to track exactly where you are with numbers and data for you to be able to make decisions, not on emotions, on data. That's how we operate today.
Mm-hmm.
But most people that get started, especially if you have a freelancer mindset, like, I don't want to niche down, you'll never be able to know your numbers. And without numbers, you can't predict how to scale.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right?
100%.
Most people that I've talked to, they're like, dude, how do you even do that? Well, you got to know your numbers. And when I mean your numbers, you got to know how much revenue you're bringing in, how much profit, how much net profit, because there's a big difference between profit and net profit. Most people are like, oh yeah, we made a lot of money. Well, yeah, how much did you really get to keep? It's a big difference.
Yep.
And people are like, well, we got this big number here. Well, there's a lot of things that go into it. You know, for us was like merchant fees. Dude, I never counted merchant fees till like later down the road. Stripe was hitting me with a whole bunch of fees.
Mm-hmm.
Even knew about it, man.
Yep. That stuff adds up.
Dude, at the end, like I don't know, man. I don't know how. I don't even want to talk about the fees that I pay Stripe because I get frustrated and pissed off. but now we're at a point, guys, that we have such a foundation that is scalable. Like I'm able to build on my building. I'm able to put 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 floors because I built such a good solid foundation that allows me to move forward. But the key here was really being able to hire people. This is like the biggest golden nugget I can give anybody. Hire people that are experts and make sure that they actually really know their shit. And what I'm talking about is like, if you know that you're not where you want to be, go find somebody that is and make sure that they're the expert in that field and pay them whatever they're worth. Don't try to get their prices. Don't try to negotiate with them because that person that you're trying to negotiate $2,000 is trying to teach you how to make the next 2 million.
Yep.
You know, how many times, bro, had you know, small-minded, like you're thinking too small. You're thinking 2,000, he's thinking 2 million, dude. You just like the mentality is not there.
Yeah, 100%. So kind of recap some of those big things. Number one, I think really a lot of the foundation of your earlier success with this was being a killer at sales, because you wouldn't have got to that point of, you know, having to bring Brandon on if you didn't have a whole bunch of clients that you needed to service. So a lot of people don't even have that. So, you know, I people always say, hey, what's the most valuable skill for an entrepreneur? It's like sales, copywriting, persuasion. If you can't get people to even, you know, respond to your emails or sign up for something, you can have the best product in the world, but it's not going to help them. So that as the foundation, I think very smart of you to also realize your weaknesses of, okay, I got this area covered. I need some help. Like, all right, who can I bring on to make all this stuff work? And then after that, it was like, okay, now we have a machine going pretty solid, but we need to multiply this machine. We need a bigger machine. We need more people to service all these clients. So scaling up and then keeping an eye on all the KPIs. So a whole bunch of nuggets within there for sure. Anything you wish you would have known in, like, you know, the first couple of months of that you know now that would really help you out?
You know, I wish I would have known this sooner. I wish I would have been tracking my numbers sooner, because I was making a lot of my decisions, Arne, on emotions. Somebody would apply and I had some similarity and I liked them, I would hire them. And I didn't know if I needed to hire them. They just applied, dude. And I was making a lot of my emotions on a lot of my decisions on emotion. So I wish I would have known that sooner. And I also wish, if I could go back, some of the things that I would change is I would have started building my core values sooner. Okay. Let's talk about that real quick. Core values is going to be basically the dictating factor that is going to allow you to choose the direction of the people you work with, vendors, employees, and team members, and who stays and who leaves. Basically, it's what do you stand for inside of a company? Some companies are wonderful companies, but they've defined their mission, their vision, and the like bullet points of everything that they believe in. And that's what your core values are. And once we put them together, we're like, this is what we stand for. And anybody that doesn't believe this shouldn't work with us.
Yep.
And so we got really clear on our core values. And now we're at a point where, like, dude, if an employee doesn't align with that, we can't hire them because it won't work long term. It's not sustainable for the future. It might be sustainable for them to take the work off for the next month, but a month from now, bro, they will mess up the whole company and get us off track. Let's not even go there. Yes. Yeah,
major game changer. And I'm sure you picked that up from some of the Apex crew, you know, Thomas Keenan's book. Same with me. A lot of times people get stuck on that, or they just have heard of it, or they think it's some cheesy corporate thing to have company that. No, it's your guiding principles, and it completely will change the fabric of how you make decisions. You know, I think that's one of the biggest things that stood out for me in my journeys was like, okay, now that I have these on paper, it makes making decisions really easy. If it's like, oh, well, this random person, they seem cool on the interview, but they totally don't align with that, you know? Okay, cool. No hard feelings, not a fit, you know? Or same on the opposite, where it's like, okay, well, I see, maybe they didn't have the exact skill set we wanted, or they were close, but like they're 5 for 5 on the values. Like we can train them. If they're on point with this other stuff, they're good to go. And same for clients as well.
Yes.
So it's a major game changer. So yeah, like we said, this book from Thomas Keenan. I see you actually got your copy of it sitting right there. Yeah, what really stood out to you for it?
I'll tell you this. I personally, I would. Those of you guys that don't know Thomas Keenan, he's a fucking genius, and I didn't give him enough credit. He used to be my Apex coach. He was the one that actually like helped me out, and I didn't give him enough credit because I couldn't relate. It was because I wasn't open-minded enough. At one point, a coach of mine that I was a student for, he said, "When you want to learn, this teacher will show up." And now that resonates with me. So what I'm saying, this book right here, if you guys ever get the opportunity to read it, I totally recommend it as you guys are building your companies. The thing that stood out in this is that it talks about how to build a foundation, how to create the core values, how to get aligned and get on the same page with your team, how to scale and how to sell your company. It's literally the blueprint to build and exit a business. And I'm like, dude, this is so good, man. This is like so freaking good.
Yep. Yeah, real game changers. So like what do you think shifted when you started using some of that stuff in your business?
Well, my team got like literally, bro, when we started putting our core values together and having the team like understand them and having them without us involved, being able to go over the core values with, hey, this doesn't like go with what we agreed on. Like having them start like not negotiating with themselves. Like let's say that somebody on the team that didn't align with what we agreed on, they would call them out, So it was like my team is now on the same page. And when somebody falls off in a different direction, they're trying to either steer them back or get rid of them without having to do that. And so when your team can work and go all, no matter how many team members, like think of my fingers as team members, like if they're all going in the right direction and one steers, like the team will catch that without you being involved. And that's when you have a business culture that it's actually enjoyable for them to work.
Yeah.
Know what they stand for, bro. That is a danger.
That's major, because especially with stuff like that, you create more leaders. It's not everybody you for everything. It's everybody in your company is has leadership and gets to influence the other people too. So that's major, man. Well, love it. So many good takeaways from this, and for everybody else out there watching, listening. Make sure to let us know your feedback. Come post up on our social channels, at Jose on Facebook. And for everybody who wants to connect and learn more about what you got going on, where should we send them off to?
Yeah, that's a great question. So guys, I am actually starting a podcast soon, and I want you guys to pay attention to this. I'm starting a podcast over like the next 2 weeks. You guys should look it up on any type of platform. It's called Mental Protein. I'm a big fan of mindset. Like I struggle with my mindset. So I created a podcast because it was for me. It wasn't for no one else, but I'm going to be dropping in like some of the raw content that you guys need to hear when you get up out of bed. It's going to be like a car wash, going in there dirty and coming out clean. That mental protein that you got to give yourself in the morning to start the day off right. You're going to be able to find that. The next place that you can find me is going to be on Facebook. I'm on there all the time as Jose Sanchez. If you can't find me, put Dallas next to me because that's where I live, and you'll be able. Or next, you can find me on Instagram at Sanchez B.J. That is my name, which would need to be changed in the future as we brand myself. But guys, that's what you can find me. I love to connect with you. If you guys got any questions, if you're starting out in the business, you're a freelancer, if you're where I was 10, 15 months ago or so, connect with me. I just want to help you. I have no intentions to charge you money to talk to me. I just want to talk to you and help, because I'm a huge believer that I didn't get here by myself. It wasn't me. It was a lot of people that supported me and helped me and guided me, that I'm here because of them. And obviously effort, a whole bunch of effort.
Whole bunch of effort. Love it, man. Yeah. Well, really appreciate you taking your time. And the listeners don't actually know this, but right now you're gearing up to go hang out with a bunch of friends on a yacht out in Florida, and you took extra time to hang with us today. So
guys. So I was wrapping up my day, and my last thing before I finish now is this podcast, and I wanted to drop this good stuff in your ear, but I'm actually on my way to a yacht party. There's a mansion we rented out, and this is the last thing. So I don't want you to be jealous. If you're listening to this and it's or whatever the case is, just know that you can have fun anywhere you go. And most important, just enjoy the journey.
100%. Love it, man. Well, thanks again, and go enjoy that yacht. Everybody, make sure to go take action on at least one thing you guys heard today. We're not just here to entertain you. We're here to change your life. So pick something you heard, take action. All right, guys. Till next time.